Hello, dear children. Namaste, and welcome to the terminology series for ICSE Class 10 Biology. This is Ambika, your biology master teacher, right here on this super amazing platform, Vedantu 9th and 10th English. All right, guys, let's get started. Now, let me just give you a brief introduction about what exactly the terminology series is going to be about, as the name perhaps indicates. I think it's self-explanatory, and you might have seen videos that we have done for classes 9 and 10 CBSE as well. So basically we just pick out the important terms, because biology we completely understand it's a term heavy chapter, right? So many new terms and so many important terms that you need to know, and without an understanding of those, it's very difficult to move ahead in the subject. That's exactly why, although we've been doing Umang series, BioBite series, and One Shot series, VIP, and all of those series, we thought it would be super helpful for all of you to make a separate series on the terms alone, the important terms alone. Right, guys? So today we will discuss terms from the chapter Cell Cycle and Cell Division. All right. So, of course, we never start without a positive quote, right? So here it is, my positive quote for you for the day. I really appreciate people who correct me, because without them, I might have been repeating mistakes for a long time. How nice, right? How beautiful. I think that's a very important value that all of us must learn. Quite often, it's a human innate human nature to get irritated when somebody corrects you. Well, everyone does this at some point of time or the other. People generally don't like it when somebody tries to correct you. But when you think of it, it's actually true. We need to give it a thought. If somebody is unnecessarily having sort of a personal vengeance against you, well, that's a different thing. But I think if somebody tries to correct something, we must certainly give it a thought, because at times it's very useful for us to realize a little more about ourselves as well. All right, so keeping that in mind, let's move ahead to the terminology session for the chapter Cell Cycle and Cell Division. Well, guys, of course, this chapter we start talking about what exactly the cell is. Of course, the cell is the structural and functional unit of an organism. Structural and functional unit of life, as we can call it, right? So, of course, we've discussed all this in your class 9, and in CBSE class 9 also. Here on this channel, we've been discussing this. So you need to have a very good understanding of what exactly the cell is before you know more about this particular chapter, right? Sounds like a very straightforward thing, but you know what? It's hard to imagine, because whenever I talk about DNA, whenever I talk about genes, I often, what I do is I prefer to start from scratch. In the sense, imagine a human body. Think about the different 38 or 40 trillion odd cells which make up the human body. Zoom into one of them, and now open your eyes. You are looking inside one particular cell. So you need to have that sort of connect before we learn anything at all about the cell. All right, because this is something we can't see with our naked eyes. It's something that we can see only with the help of laboratory equipment, right? So, of course, this is what the cell is. Sorry. This is what the cell is, and the major parts of the cell which you need to know. Most of them are mentioned here. There are two kinds of cells, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. All of that is fine. In this chapter, we majorly talk about the kinds of cell division occurring in typical eukaryotic cells. All right, so let's move ahead. The next term which you need to know is cytoplasm. Of course, cytoplasm, this, how do we draw it? Well, if this is a cell, okay, this is the double membrane that protects a cell, and this is the cytoplasm, right? It is in the cytoplasm that there would be all the different cell organelles, the mitochondria, the ribosomes, and the lysosomes, and everything else, the vacuole, all the other organelles that you can think about, right? So this is what the cytoplasm is, or the entire fluidy matrix, the semi-solid, thick, gelatinous substance which fills up this phase inside the cell, which is inner to the plasma membrane. This is what we call the cytoplasm. But of course, keep in mind, cytoplasm would be excluding the nucleus. Nucleus is like the VIP as far as the cell is concerned. And as a result, inside the nucleus, there is a separate fluidy medium which we call nucleoplasm. Right, children? So it's outside the nucleus that there is cytoplasm found. And it's within the cytoplasm that you find all the other organelles, endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, mitochondria, and everything else that I've just mentioned. All right? Yes. Now, moving on. Nucleus. What is the nucleus? Of course, it's the control center of a cell. Now, as far as the topic of cell division is concerned, nucleus would be the most important part of a cell. Why so? This is because it's inside the nucleus that the genetic material is present. The thread-like structures which are found are inside the nucleus. Chromatin, chromosomes, and all of those. I know you may be confused between those terms as well. We'll talk about it later in the chapter. Structure of chromosomes. All right. For the time being, just understand all the genetic material is found inside the nucleus. That's why it is very important for you to know what it is like. So the nucleus, it's got a nuclear membrane, it's got nuclear pores along its surface. Do you see that? Those dots over there, they are the nuclear pores. And this is what we call the nucleolus, right? Okay. Now, what's the next one? Cell cycle. Okay, this is like the heart of this chapter. Cell cycle, we can say, is the series of events which includes growth and division which a cell undergoes. For example, imagine a cell to be a living entity. Of course it is, right? It's the smallest structural and functional unit of life after all. A cell is born, okay? Now, until the time that it dies, until the time that it has between its birth or formation of that cell till death of that particular cell, all the events that occur, that's what we call cell cycle. What is the cell's main aim? A cell's main aim in life would be to split up, or rather divide, to reproduce, to split up into two daughter cells, right? So the series of events which occur from the birth of a cell until it's ready to divide, this is what we call cell cycle. Right? So in fact, it's a division into daughter cells would also come as a stage under this, but the moment a cell is born and all the preparation that it does to undergo cell division and the cell division itself, this is what we call cell cycle. So what about the next step? Of course, not exactly death of the cell. The cell, if it's managed to successfully reproduce, we enter stage 2 or generation 2 of cell cycle, wherein the two daughter cells now enter into their independent cell cycles. All right, they are independent enough to start their own families. That's probably how we can think about it. All right, so once again, read through this. Cell cycle is a series of events including growth and division that a cell undergoes from the time of its formation up to its division into daughter cells. So all of those steps over here, G1 stage, S stage, G2 stage, and the M stage, right? All of these together come under the title cell cycle. Mitosis is the actual cell division stage, and these three stages together, they are the stages where a cell prepares itself to undergo mitosis or cell division. Since these three stages together can be said to be occurring between two successive mitotic divisions. Say, for example, this is one cell. It undergoes mitosis this way to form two daughter cells. Then these two cells independently undergo mitosis to form their individual daughter cells and so on. So basically, we can say that preparation stage, mitosis, then it will be preparation stage of these cells, mitosis of those cells. And then it would be preparation of these cells and then mitosis of those cells and so on. So basically, this is how the cycle occurs. These three stages together, since they occur between successive mitotic divisions, we could call them interphase. Right, children? Interphase. Because inter stands for between. Right? Between successive mitotic divisions. This is how it occurs. An interphase is comprised of all the kinds of growth and preparation that a cell would need to undergo cell division. All right. So this is what the cell cycle is. All right. Now, children, it's very important for you to be aware about Something beyond this YouTube channel that Vedantu has been doing always. In fact, this is what we at Vedantu had been doing since the start. We came into YouTube quite probably like 2 or 3 years ago, but even before that, we've been committed to helping students do their best. So, children, even right now, you have the opportunity of joining Vedantu's unlimited live classes with a lot of fun and high level quizzes. So, basically, you can compete with students across the world. It's going to be an online set of classes, but there are a lot of advantages to this. You would have realized it yourself, considering the pandemic that we've been going through since the year 2020. Online education has been said to be safest in terms of a lot of things, right? But then, one challenge probably that many children face is that online education doesn't give that personal connect. But at Vedantu, that's not really a problem, because even if it's an online classroom, you really get this feel of an offline classroom. Like for example, you feel like you're in a class, you're in a room where there's a teacher, there are class teachers, there are other students from across the country, across the world. It really feels like it's a physical room that we are in. Well, people who've experienced this would know, and the rest of you could try it out definitely. And also, children, one of the amazing features that the platform has is the interactive replays, wherein there's live quiz and leaderboards, because we completely understand that you may not be able to attend every single session while it's happening live, because come on, in a month about 200 live sessions are possibly happening for one particular batch. So we do understand you might have school classes to attend, you might have other classes to attend, so not a problem. In case you miss it, or in case you just want to come back and watch a replay of whatever you've attended, even the interactive replay button is still there for you. So interactive replay, in the sense, quizzes and leaderboards are still going to be like a live session, right? So I think that's an amazing feature that our technology has been able to build. And children, of course, premium handwritten notes of your master teachers will also be available to you, right? After every session, this is going to be available to you. Then, of course, doubt solving, assignments, tests are all a part of our course, because it's not just one-sided lecture that we want, right? Because that's even doable on the YouTube platform, and we've been doing that as well. We've been doing our best on this platform. We will continue to do our best, but that sort of personal connect, wherein one-to-one doubt solving and answering all your doubts, session assignments, chapter tests, and a lot of practice tests, all of these come as part of Vedantu's classes, right, children? And also, as an added bonus feature, those of you who are registered for Vedantu Pro subscription will get free access to 5,000 plus topic level courses, topic wise or chapter wise courses, which we call micro courses, and also free crash courses for competitive exams. So isn't that amazing? Because you end up not paying anything extra for it as long as you're registered in this, right, children? So how much is that paying extra or not extra? I'll tell you about that. But where do you check out more details? Well, children, you will find a link given in the description box below. If you just click on the description box below, you will find an option, subscribe to Vedantu Pro now. And right next to it, there would be a link, right? So if you check it out right now, you will find it. You can click on that link and you will be guided through a set of very simple steps, easy to understand steps. Main thing you need to keep in mind is the coupon code AMBPRO, all right? AMBPRO. Okay, so this is it. This is going to be the plan till March 2021, which is going to be a 1-month plan. The pro price, right now the price is 1,500. Okay, 1,500 for 1 month. So over there, you're going to be getting all your major subjects. For ICSE, it's going to be majorly science and maths. Okay, and the coupon code would be AMBPRO. All right, I should probably write it down here, AMBPRO. Remember that, and apply that, and it gets reduced to 1,200 or 1,200 according to the offer that's on right now. There was a point of time last week, if you remember, we had a 50% off as well. Right now, it's going to be 1,200. Okay, right. So divide this by 200, because as I told you, you can make the best use of it by taking up to 200 sessions in a month. So to calculate the per class cost or the per session cost, to know if you're making the right decision, go ahead by this. 1200 divided by 200, you get the per class price, which is rupees 6. Imagine, rupees 6 per session, wherein in one single session, you get everything that you need. Expert explanation, handwritten notes, a lot of fun quizzes, a lot of extra material assignments, past year's papers, past year's questions, everything, name it and it's there, test papers. That is the speciality or the unique feature, or the list of unique features, as I would say, of Vedantu Pro subscription. So children, as you can see, rupees 6 per session would mean it's even lesser priced than your favorite chips packet, than your favorite snack packets, most of them, right? Because for a decent snack packet or snack bar or whatever it may be, you need to pay at least like 10-15 rupees, right? So this is even lower priced than that. So make your choice right now. It's completely up to you. I've given you all the information that you need, because there are even plans where you could go in for a longer term subscription. But right now, since you might want to get started and experiment it without being troubled by the fact that, this is exam season and we are right now in a safe position to do that, because your exam is not happening tomorrow anyway, right? So right now, give it a shot and see for yourself. All right. Okay. Moving ahead now to the next part. What exactly is interphase? Now, if you remember, I told you these 3 steps together, we call it interphase. Inter would mean between. But between what? Yes, between 2 mitotic divisions. That's why it's also called intermitosis sometimes, right? So it's basically the stage at which a cell undergoes growth as seen in the G1 stage. Yes, growth as seen in the G1 stage, DNA synthesis as seen in the S stage, growth and any further preparation for mitosis as seen in the G2 stage. These 3 together are the steps of interphase. All right, guys, G1, S, G2. M is separate. Okay, so it's interphase and mitotic phase overall. All right, yes. Now, so what exactly is mitosis? Now coming to that. Been saying a lot about mitosis, but what exactly is it? It's a type of cell division. Simply put, it's just a type of cell division. But what happens in it? Out here, what happens is a parent cell splits up into 2 daughter cells, and the parent and daughter cells would all have exactly the same number of chromosomes. If the parent cells have 46 chromosomes, daughter cells would also have 46 chromosomes each. So we also call it equational division. Equational division. All right? Yes. So this is what it is. For example, like in the case of human somatic cells, parent cells would have 46 and the daughter cells would also end up having 46 chromosomes each, or 23 pairs of chromosomes each. All right? Yes. So this is what it is. And now what is meiosis? Meiosis is yet another type of cell division wherein the daughter cells have exactly half the number of chromosomes as that of the parent cell. And as a result, we also call this reduction division. Yes, reduction division, because if the parent cell had diploid number of chromosomes, the daughter cells all have just half the number of chromosomes as that of the parent cell. So the chromosome numbers are getting reduced. Reduction division. In this case, it's equational division. Same number of chromosomes. Diploid to diploid. Here it's diploid to haploid. So where would it occur? It occurs in germ cells. What are germ cells? Now those microorganisms are germs. Germ cells are those cells which are destined to become gametes in your body. Ova in females or sperms in the case of males. All right. This is what meiosis is. So we can say this occurs in sex cells or reproductive cells. Reproductive cells. And out here, mitosis, example, we can write it as somatic cells. Okay? Which are the non-reproductive cells of your body. That's it. Now, meiosis, remember, it occurs in 2 phases, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. All right? Yes. Now moving ahead to the further stages in cell cycle. G1. What exactly is G1? we can say that it stands for growth. G in some, according to certain sources, they say G stands for growth. Some people even say G stands for gap because it indicates a gap between adjacent mitotic divisions, right? Whatever is given in your textbook, that's fine. But just remember, in the G1 phase, the major events are that RNA and non-histone proteins get synthesized. Some bit of growth of the cell occurs. It begins to prepare itself for cell division. Growth overall is what occurs in G1 phase. Okay, right. Now, the next one, S phase. What does S stand for? S stands for synthesis. S would stand for synthesis. But what exactly is getting synthesized out here? DNA synthesis or DNA replication is what happens here. So basically, duplication of DNA or replication of DNA is the major event in S phase or synthesis phase. So this is the stage where the chromosome would begin to get its appearance of this one, this X-shaped structure with sister chromatids, because it needs some place to accommodate the new copies of DNA, right? Okay, so that's the S phase. And then comes the G2 phase, wherein again further growth of the cell occurs before it undergoes mitosis. So all of these centrioles, mitochondria, Golgi bodies, and most other major cell organelles get doubled. Why so? Because it's about to enter into mitosis, which means it needs to earn enough to split into two different sets to give its two daughters. Okay, all its assets, it's basically duplicating it. Okay, right. Now, karyokinesis. Karyon would mean nucleus, kinesis would mean division. So, division of nucleus is what we call karyokinesis. And you need to know what cytokinesis is as well. Cytokinesis would be, yes, division of cytoplasm, right? So, nuclear division occurs first, as you can see in this image, and this is followed by cytoplasmic division. That would mark the end of cell division. All right. Now, furthermore, in a mitotic phase, well, until now we have discussed what cell cycle is, and its two major phases are interphase and mitotic phase. We've seen what interphase is, G1S and G2. Now we are entering into mitotic phase, wherein there are four major steps. Prophase. Pro would mean the first phase. So here the major event which happens is that the chromatin or the DNA content, right, which is in the form of chromatin right now, it condenses into chromosomes. So this is chromatin, and all of this in preparation for cell division gets condensed into organized structures called chromosomes. Nucleolus also disappears. Nuclear membrane also begins to disappear over here because it might come in the way of chromosomal movement later on in mitosis. So this is the major event that occurs in prophase. Second step is metaphase. Meta would stand for middle. Okay, so remember it like that. Meta would stand for middle. What is special about this? Of course, what is in the middle? The chromosomes get arranged in the middle or the equatorial plate, the metaphase plate as we also call it. Chromosomes line up along the metaphase plate, which is basically an imaginary plane. So as you can see here, children, this is the cell. It's inside the cell, inside the cytoplasm that it's occurring. The nuclear membrane has disappeared, which is why all of this is able to happen freely. There is no obstruction, right? Okay, so this is it. You need to keep in mind that there is a centromere. This is the centromere to which spindle fibers would be attached. From here, spindle fibers are moving out and attaching to the centromere. Centromere is a point at which two sister chromatids are attached. Okay, so prophase, metaphase. Next is anaphase. Ana would mean opposite. Yes, ana. Opposite. All right. Yes. So in anaphase, what happens is the centromere would divide. Basically, the sister chromatids separate out and they move towards opposite poles of the cell, as you can see here. Spindle fibers shorten, pulling away sister chromatids to the opposite poles. This is what we call anaphase. So prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and now comes telophase. Telo would mean end or the end phase. Okay, so telo is end or finishing phase, end phase, however you want to remember it. This is the phase wherein nuclear membrane and nucleolus begin to reappear around each group of sister chromatids. As you know, in the case of anaphase, what happened? Yes, look at that. Yes, they have moved towards opposite poles, and now look at there. We are turning it a little bit so that it's more visible to you. That's why the image is now like this. All right, so this is the equatorial plate. This one is the equatorial plate, and the sister chromatids have moved to the opposite poles, as we know. So now in telophase, fresh nuclear membranes begin to reappear around individual sister chromatid sets. So once that is formed, we don't call them chromatids anymore. We now call them chromosomes, because they are beginning their independent families. They are independent enough. They are about to split away from each other completely. Okay, this is telophase. And now comes, telophase would be followed by cytokinesis. Right, I've told you already what cytokinesis is. Cytokinesis followed by cytokinesis. All right, splitting of cytoplasm. Now, what is reproduction? It's the process of producing offsprings which are biologically or genetically similar to the parent organism. This, of course, can be either asexual or sexual. In this chapter, we majorly talk about the kinds of cell division, because that's like the core of reproduction. Without cell division occurring, reproduction cannot occur. Now, what is Aster? Children, literally remember, Aster would mean a star. Okay, so Asterias, for example, is the scientific name of starfish. Okay, that's because of its name. I mean, because in olden times, in all of those languages from which biology terms have been derived, Aster would have meant star. Right, so a radiating array of microtubules associated with the centrosome in a dividing cell. This is what it is. So basically, we know that in a centrosome there would be centrioles, and there are microtubule proteins which are associated with this machinery, and from there spindle fibers would begin to form. Right, so this structure, star-like appearance, is what it's got. Right, look at that. Star-like structure is what it's got. Astral microtubules out here as well. That structure is what we call Aster. Okay, that's about it. Now, here is the summary of the entire session. These are the terms that we have been majorly discussing: cells, cytoplasm, nucleus, cell cycle, interphase, mitosis, meiosis, G1, S, G2, karyokinesis. I told you cytokinesis as well. What is Aster? We've also seen prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Children, as long as you remember that cell cycle is comprised of interphase and M phase, and in interphase there's G1, S, G2. In the M phase or the mitotic phase, there's prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Remember, you're not going to be confused at all. IPMAT. Remember that. IPMAT. I prefer Malayalam and Tamil, as I always say. So this is one mnemonic. You could come up with your own creative mnemonics. This will help you remember the order a little better. Probably the terms are going to be exactly the same in meiosis as well. That's exactly why we've not discussed it separately, because it's a terminology session. To know more about these topics, these concepts well in detail, I would suggest go back to our Umang series playlist, or Bio Bites in 15 minutes, or even the chapters in one shot. You will find all the explanation out there. All right, guys. So yes, that's about it from my side, children. Remember, the link is given in the description box below, and the coupon code you need to keep in mind is AMBPRO, because without application of that, you're not going to be getting that 20% off, which is going on right now. Okay. Right. So children, if you have enjoyed this session, if you have found it useful, please click on the like button right now and share it with all your class 10 ICSE biology friends. I would suggest share it with your NEET aspirant friends as well, because All these terms are also part of the NEET syllabus in class 11 NCRT. Also, all of this is explained. So yes, that's about it, and stay subscribed, because until your exams are done, we are going to be coming up with more and more and more useful and creative sessions to make your learning journey much smoother. All right, guys, so that's about it. Stay happy, stay healthy until we meet again. This is Ambika signing off. Bye bye.